Hi friends, welcome to this session, and in this video we'll be learning about Docker image, Docker container and Docker Hub. We'll also do a quick comparison between containers and virtual machines. So let's start with Docker image. Docker image is a file that has all the definitions of a Docker container. In other words, it is a file which has all the resources defined within it to build a container. If you have an application, assume, and you want to run it, you define all the application code, runtime, system tools, and system libraries, and the settings in a file. And that file becomes your Docker image file. So let's understand this with a couple of examples. Assume you want to install an operating system. First step you do is download the IOC image and burn it on some compact disk or a flash drive, and later you perform the installation. So now you can assume Docker image file to be like the same as the IOC image file that you downloaded and that has all the resources within it to do the installation. Let's take another example so it becomes more clear. If you are a Java developer, you know what class and object is. A class is a blueprint, whereas object is something created physically from the class in the memory. You can imagine Docker image file as your class file or Java source file, which is the blueprint to create a Docker container, where Docker container is the object here. I hope it is now clear what Docker image is. So now let's move on to Docker container. By now, I think you might also have understood what Docker container is. And from the official website, it says it is a standard unit of software that packages up the code and all its dependencies so the applications runs quickly and reliably from one computing environment to another. To make it more simple to understand, it is a package of your application and its configuration, libraries, and all its dependencies, which can be run on multiple machines, and each machine can have its own customized settings. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Now let's look at Dockerhub. A Dockerhub is a service provided by Docker for finding and sharing container images with your team. It is a cloud-based repository in which users and partners create, test, store, and distribute container images. So let's go to the Dockerhub, website, and you can see that currently there are more than, there are like millions of available images that you can download and create containers. So what normally users do is they can pull the images from here, and on top of it they can create their own images and later publish those images using Dockerhub. And they can also pull the images here from Dockerhub and create containers. And we'll be doing that in our future sessions. We'll be downloading few of the images from here and create containers. So you can consider, a Dockerhub similar to what we have with other repositories like Git repositories like GitHub, where what you do is you publish your source code so that others can use it. And the same way here, what we do is we publish our images, and you can also so that others can download or pull those images and create containers out of it. So I hope it is clear now what Dockerhub is, and you can see that there are Dockerhub can have commercial as well as open source images. So now let's continue with our slide and do a quick comparison between containers and virtual machines. Containers, in a nutshell, are based on Linux operating system, but they just have only core resources that are required to run or execute your application. Whereas virtual machines are basically a separate operating system that runs on host operating system, and so they are called as guest operating system. Containers are monitored using Docker component called Docker engine, whereas virtual machines you are monitored by using hypervisor, which is nothing but a tool used to create and run virtual machines. And you would have tried doing this by installing Linux operating system on your Windows operating system by using a third-party tool like uh, VirtualBox, right? So something like that the infrastructure is. Okay, if you look at the slide, we have application A, B, C till F, all those running in an individual containers, and all those containers are nothing but a process that are running on the host operating system. And if you want to run the same application in virtual machine, so each application is now a process within the guest operating system that is nothing but your virtual machine. That makes the containers lightweight compared to virtual machine, because the container does not have all those features like an operating system has, that is your virtual machine, because it does not have your desktop UI or pre-installed uh, software tools like entertainment and gaming tools. So it has only those tools or resources that are required to run your application that you had defined in the image. Okay, so that's how the containers are designed. And also containers has now they are a process running on the host operating system. Are they enable efficient way of resource utilization. And virtual machine, I know that if you can consider containers to be similar to virtual machines, but they are not virtual machines. They can be considered as partial virtual machine, because they are also containers are also Linux based operating system. Okay, so I hope it is clear with a very high level comparison between containers and virtual machines. Again, containers are not virtual machines, but you can consider them as an operating system based virtual machines, a partial virtual machine that does not have all the features like a normal operating system. So that's all for this video, and I will see you in the next session.